Welcome to the Indigo Room. Today is day 11 of our app series for manifesting your dreams and desires. Assume that it is real, act as if it's already done, praise and thanksgiving. Hi, I'm your host, Sydney Chase, and welcome to the Indigo Room. This is where we discuss all things spiritual. And by that, I mean that we are non physical spiritual beings having physical human experiences. Life is supposed to be good. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be delicious, even when it gets a little wicky wacky sometimes. No, I'm not live. But I am here. I told you that there might be a day when I would not be live. Today is one of those days. I have a few things to do, but I wanted to make sure that we did our check in today. What we're going to be discussing today is assuming the end and a bridge of incidents. What do I mean by that? Well, we have been going over, right? Assuming it is real, getting into our imagination. But I really want to just give you a little bit more context, right? A little bit more understanding of what I'm meaning and what we're meaning by going to the end. You want to live in the end as if it's already done. You've already received it. You already have the thing that you are choosing, the dream, the desire that you are choosing to live, be, do, have, right? So when we are living in the end, you want to get to the space of where you think it might have. What would it feel like if this were already true, right? What would you be feeling like? What would you be doing? How would you be moving? And when you're moving throughout your day and acting as if it's already done, again, I'm not saying that if you have 500, you're assuming that you have $1,000 or $100,000 in the bank that you start writing checks. That's not acting as if it's done, right? That's just being crazy. But how would you stand if you knew you had that in the bank? How would you move about your day? How would your body feel? How would your hands feel? How would the air feel around you? Would you still be doing some of the same things that you are doing now, like worrying, being discouraged, walking like this? Yeah, I don't have any money. No, you'd be feeling good. You'd be feeling proud of yourself, confident. Your shoulders would be, back up a little bit because you know that you already took care of all of your responsibilities. You already paid your bills, paid your debts. You'd be feeling good. You'd be feeling happy. You'd be feeling joy, but your body also would be responding. And so we want to be able to get ourselves into feeling as if it's already done. When I read Florence Scovel Shinn, The Game of Life and How to Play It, in chapter 2, she talks about moving and acting as if it's already done. So say you were going to a restaurant or say you were going to a store, you going shopping. Would you buy something that is cheap, or would you in that space, now feel more confident to, instead of spending $5, you feel a little bit more confident and you spend $10, let's say, right? So you want to act as if it's already done, and you want to prepare yourself for the manifestation before it comes in. And that's where praise and thanksgiving comes in, right? You're just thankful that it's already done. Thank you, God. Thank you, Mother, Father, God. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you that it's already done. The more often you do that, what you're doing is you're letting your subconscious know that this is already done. Your conscious mind is now connecting with your subconscious mind, and you are understanding and you are feeling that yes, This is already done. And so, as you are moving about your day, as you are feeling that, what starts to happen behind the scenes where you're not able to actually see all of these things happening, bridges of incidents are being set up so that the manifestation can show up for you. The demonstration can show up for you in real time, in your real life, which it already is, but now it'll be in your experience now. Instead of it only being in your imagination, it's also outside of you. As within, so without. So what you create on the inside is what shows up on the outside. Could be good, it could be not so good. It's entirely up to you. A bridge of incidents, I want to give you an example of a bridge of incidents that I experienced before I moved to New York City. I was living in Pennsylvania. Before that, I was living in New York City. And a bridge of incidents came about so that I could move to Pennsylvania. And then another bridge of incidents came about so that I could move back home. I was living in Pennsylvania, and every night I would imagine and sleep in the wish fulfilled of being in New York City. I used to have a picture of New York City that I would view. What would I see if I was living in New York City, right? In Staten Island. How would I view New York? I would see the Manhattan skyline. And every night, that's how I slept. In the end, I had no idea how I was going to get there. I didn't have a job in New York City at the time, didn't have an apartment in New York City at the time. I didn't have anything. I had an apartment, I was living in Pennsylvania. I had a job in Pennsylvania, and I was in Pennsylvania, but inside I was in New York City. And often I would say to myself as I was drifting off to sleep, I remember when I used to live in Pennsylvania. And that is another technique that Neville talks about, the I remember when. And when you are remembering something that already happened, you can't be in that same experience. So if me, am living in Pennsylvania, but in Pennsylvania, I am remembering when I used to live in Pennsylvania, that means that I'm already in New York. I know, that sounds crazy, but it works. So every night in my imagination, in the assumption, I would go to sleep and I would say, I remember when I used to live in Pennsylvania. Even though my physical body was still in Pennsylvania, I remembered when I used to live there. And I would be in my imagination in New York City, remembering when I used to live in Pennsylvania. So in my imagination, you couldn't tell me that I was now living in Pennsylvania, even though my physical body was still there. I remember when. So if you could get yourself to remember when the thing used to exist that you're now wanting to move away from and have something else, that also helps in the assuming it real and acting as if. And I would move about my day, but often throughout my day, I would remind myself, I remember when I used to live in Pennsylvania. And I would be tricking my thought process, right? Tricking my brain, tricking my mind, tricking out my mind to say I was already living there. So I got this really great picture of New York City, the view that I would have if I was living in New York City. And that meant I would live in Staten Island and I would be seeing the Manhattan skyline. So I would, it was on my laptop. It was in my space. It was on my phone. Every place that I could find a place to put this little picture to remind me that I was living in New York City, I would do that. And lo and behold, not too long after I started that process, my son called me to tell me about a job that was available in a place that I really wanted to work. I'd done some acting work at the Metropolitan Opera a few years prior to that. And I always wanted to go to the opera. I always wanted to work there or just to hobnob, you know. And I got the opportunity to work as an extra in a movie film. That was fun. And while I was there, I was like, wow, this is so cool. I would love to be able to work here one day. And then my son got a job there. And then he called me one day when I was living in Pennsylvania and he said, Mom, you need to check out this job. Send in your resume. I was like, okay. I knew I wanted to move back to New York, but I didn't have any way of getting, back down there for the job interview, all that crazy nonsense. That's what I was thinking. And then I caught myself and I said, okay, all right, let me just fill out the application, send them my resume, and see what happens. Not long after that, I'm very short. It must have been, a couple days, not even. I got a response. We would love to have you come in for an interview. And the day they picked happened to be the day I was already coming into the city to go to a birthday party for my son. So I was like, okay, that works out perfectly. I hopped on the bus, hightailed it back down to New York City for the birthday party for my son. But first, I went for the job interview. That went great. And then we went to the party, spent the weekend, went back home. About a few week or so later, I got the information that I had gotten the job. OMG. Now I got to find a place to live. And, I have to make all these arrangements and just try to figure it out. I got a job in New York, but I don't have a place to live in New York. All right, Spirit. Okay, all right. Let me get back in there. Let me get back in my imagination. Act as if it's already done. I'd say, I don't even know. It was so quick. My cousin called one day and we were talking and he said, I know you want to come back to New York. I know you're thinking about coming back to New York City to live. He says, when you do, I got you. I got a place for you to stay. I have an apartment. I have an extra bedroom that you can stay in. And, you just let me know. I was like, well, it just so happens. It just so happens that I already have a job and I just need a place to live. And my job starts, it was sometime in April. And this was from March till April. And he said, okay, no problem. You just need to get down here. I rented a U-Haul, packed myself up, me and the dog, and we hightailed it back to New York City. When I got back to Staten Island, I saw the skyline of Manhattan, and I remembered when I used to live in Pennsylvania. And I remembered when I was remembering when I was living already in Staten Island, remembering when I used to live in Pennsylvania. So that is a technique that can help you stay in the mindset of it's already done. And a bridge of incidents was created so that I could get back to New York City. It works if you work it. I hope that little story helped you. And I'm sorry I'm not going to be here very long to check in with you tonight, but I want you to remember to stay in the wish fulfilled, already done. Get to the end. Remember when. Remember when. I remember when I used to drive that old raggedy car. I remember when I only had $100 in my bank account. I remember when I used to live in West Jablip. I don't know where you live in, but wherever. I remember when I used to live in that old house. I remember when I was single. I know it sounds convoluted. So remember when you didn't have $100. That means now you have more than $100. Remember when you were living in that old house. So that means now you're living in this new house. Remember when you had $100 in your bank account. Now you know you have $1,000 in your bank account. Remember when, or maybe it's $10,000. Maybe it's $500,000 like me. I remember when. So it's up to us. It's up to us to stay in the assumption as we drift off to sleep at night, because your assumption will harden into thought. Have a great night. Sleep well. Stay in the wish fulfilled. Act as if it's already done in the morning tomorrow. Remember to praise and thanksgiving before the manifestation even shows up. Prepare for your blessings to show up for you. Remember who you are. And remember that you are source energy right here in a physical body. Remember that you can be, do, and have anything that you desire. And remember, it's not being extraordinary that makes you unique. It is your uniqueness that makes you extraordinary. And if you're new to the channel, you can check out our first video right here. And you can check out our video from last night right here. And you can subscribe to the Indigo Room right here. So, did you have any aha moments? Are you staying in the wish fulfilled? Are you assuming that it's real? Praise and thanksgiving? Leave your comments down below. Let me know. Let us know if you had any aha moments, or if there's some way that you've been doing that we haven't talked about by staying in the wish fulfilled. And I will definitely see you on the next video. Remember to like, comment, subscribe if you're not subscribed already. I love you and have a great night. Sleep well. Bye.